Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. My name is Howard Pinsky. I'm a Senior XD Evangelist here at Adobe, and a big good morning, afternoon, or evening to everyone joining me live here on Behance. We've got Jack and Steven and Ryan and Jofianne, Ariana, Anna, Anil, and Christian, and John, and who else do we have in here? We got a lot of people. If I missed anyone's name, I do apologize. Let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from. You just finished watching Jason Levine and his Adobe Premiere Masterclass. Right before that was Paul Traney and his Adobe Photoshop Masterclass. And then right after this, it's a pack day. Right after this Daily Creative Challenge, we've got my first Adobe XD Masterclass. So it's going to be good stuff. A lot of XD, a lot of Premiere, a lot of Photoshop. It's going to be fun. And we'd love to hear what you think about these new masterclasses. Paul's been doing it for a little bit, but Jason's just finished his first one. And then my XD one's right after this. So it's a good time. And happy Friday, everyone. Are you excited it's Friday? I'm really excited it's Friday. Hopefully, let me know if my audio's too loud. I did adjust the volume a little bit based on some feedback, but if it's too loud, I can definitely move the mic a little bit further away, but let me know. So, yeah, where is it? Oh, there's Eric. Hey, Eric, welcome. Thanks, everyone, for joining me. Jofianne's saying, never watched a masterclass in Behance before. They're fairly new, but they're good times. You definitely go a little bit deeper into some of the tools like Premiere and Photoshop, and of course XD after this. Audio's fine. Beautiful. All right, so let me hop over to my screen. Boop, there we go. And this is the landing page for the Daily Creative Challenge. XD at least. Behance.net/challenge/XD. You can see it right up there. There we go. And if you haven't pressed the big blue register button at the top yet, my voice is perfect. Thank you. Definitely press the big blue button at the top. That way you're notified when we do release new challenges. And if you're brand new, you can still catch up. Here's how things are going to work. So each day you're going to receive a challenge. Each day, Monday to Friday at least, and then you're going to join us in our Discord channel if you want to, completely optional. But here's what Discord looks like. There's about 32,000 designers in Discord right now. Not right now, there's about 852 right now, but there's about 32,000 signed up, which is great. A lot of nice people. Introduce yourself, you can ask questions, and you can of course share your work. So if you hop into the current challenge channel, and I may dive into this a little bit later if we do have some time, you can take a look at what people are doing, you can give feedback, you can post your work. It's a lot of good stuff. So you can also watch us live. I'm live Monday to Friday at around 11:30 Pacific time. Then you can share your work. You can share it on Discord like I showed you. You can also pop it on Behance using the keyword XD Daily Challenge. Now, today's Friday, so we've made it through an entire week. What have we done so far? Well, on Tuesday, we kicked off by designing a donation experience for a buy a book, give a book mobile app. We focused on repeat grids. And then on Wednesday, we designed a digital experience that rewards users with credits to plant trees in the real world, focusing on auto animate. That was fun. And then yesterday, we used the drag trigger to design an experience that allows users to donate to charities directly from their paychecks. Pretty cool. And today, we're focusing all about plugins. And we're going to take it a little bit easy today. We're going to slow things down so we have some time to relax over the weekend. But I do want to show you a few plugins that may help you in your experience. There's a lot of really nice plugins in Adobe XD, and we're going to be using a few of those to design an Amber Alert experience for a mobile device. And of course, if you do want to expand on it, if you do want to do something for the desktop or a watch or any other device you might be interested in, you don't have to do mobile. When we release these challenges, we kind of give you some breathing room. So if you want to do mobile, great. If you want to do desktop, great. If you want to do a car device, whatever that might be, you can do that as well. So we are going to hop over to Adobe XD. Make sure to grab the file, the Get Started file right here. And afterwards, you can always watch the video back. So I'm going to hop over to Adobe XD. Here we go. And here is the template for today. And of course, if anyone has questions throughout this stream, definitely let me know. And if you have more deeper questions, I'm going to be live right after this stream to dive into some masterclass stuff. So that we'll be diving into components and states and that sort of thing. So Steven's saying, I actually use so much. Oh my God, I think the chat's moving already. I've learned XD from my new job, even though it's all backend server engineering. That's awesome. The chat was all jumping all over the place. So here's again, the challenge for today is to design an Amber Alert experience for mobile devices. And as you design, try speeding up your workflow with plugins. Here are a few, shots from Dribbble for inspiration. We're gonna kind of be bouncing off that, but let's go ahead and just start designing. As always, I just like to start by laying things out, laying out some elements on the page that will allow me to house certain features like a profile picture maybe, or in this case it's maybe a photo of somebody who might be missing. That's why the Amber Alerts exist. They're not just those things that annoy you on your phone. They actually help find missing people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by changing the background color to red, which is kind of like the color of an alert. I'm just going to set it somewhere right about there. Now that's very jarring, it's very alerting, but we're not going to keep the entire app experience red because then it's just way too much in your face. You may not want to look at it for very long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my rectangle tool over to the left and draw out a box towards the bottom, and this will house some additional information, maybe some additional people that might be missing as well that we can include in this application. I'll make it a little bit smaller. I may want to round out the corners. I have been in the past, the last few days, been rounding out the corners a lot, but maybe I'll just kind of dial it back a touch. 24 pixels looks pretty nice. We don't want this app to be too fancy because, the purpose is to help find missing children, right? So we'll keep it right about there. And I'm going to turn off the border. And now we've got two sections. Maybe the section at the top is for maybe the newest missing person. Newest sounds weird when you're talking about missing people, but the one that maybe just came through, right? And then down the bottom, we're going to create a list of additional missing people. So we've got this kind of laid out, right? And now we might want some sort of an image to go in the background to kind of overlay on this red areas, just so it's not super jarring and it kind of tells a little bit more of a story. Now, of course, we could create another rectangle and we could grab an image from Adobe Stock or whatever it might be and just drag it in. We can also use a plugin. So we're going to hop over here down to the bottom. This is our plugins panel right here. There's also a shortcut. Boop, there we go. Yeah, get out and find those kids. Or what did you say? Get in, find kids, get out. I don't know what that means, but yeah, go find those kids. So there's a lot of different plugins in Adobe XD. You can press the plus button at the top, and here is the plugins panel. You can browse through some curated plugins here. You can also go to the browse section and just look at all of them. There's a lot of them, but the first one I do want to showcase is this one right here, free stock search for XD. And if you do need stock photos, you can do it this way. And if you go into the settings section, you can choose what services you want. Unsplash is a great service if you can't afford to pay for stock photos. So they do have royalty-free photos. So I'm going to do that, and let's just go ahead and type out map. And there we go. We've got a bunch of different map images that we can choose, and all you have to do is, and these are very large images, so it may take a second or two to download. I'm just clicking on it, and just in a moment, where did it go? Oh, I didn't have an artboard selected, so it popped it over here. This is a large image, and it's completely free to use, which is great. But I'll just make it a little bit smaller, just like that, right? And I might want to move it back, so I can use my shortcut Command and Control and then the right square bracket to move it backwards. And I could just leave it like this, but I may want to blend it in with that red in the background just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just go over to my blend modes over here to the right, and there also is a shortcut you can use to cycle through those blend modes. And maybe let's try soft light. What does that look like? That's not too bad. Overlay, it's not bad. What about multiply? Multiply will definitely darken it a little bit. That's not bad. Maybe I'll just drop this a touch. There we go. So now we have a little bit of a map in the background, kind of fits the theme of Amber Alert. You're always out there, looking for missing children. Now, we have this kind of set up. Everything's looking okay. We need some actual information. Maybe at the top section, like I mentioned earlier, it might be the most recent missing person that has come in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my ellipse tool and simply draw out a circle, just like this. Make sure it snaps to the center. Maybe I'll add a little bit of a white border on the outside or the inside, whatever I want. I'll change the fill just so we can see what's going on, just like that. And that looks pretty good. And this will house the image of that first person. Now, again, we could go ahead and grab an image from a stock site, drag it into Adobe XD, but we can also use a plugin. So I'm going to go back to my plugins here. One of my all-time favorite plugins in Adobe XD is UI Faces, and it's this one right here. Again, you can go to your plugins manager and you can find it, search for it, and install it. But I'm going to open that up, and UI Faces, as the name suggests, allows you to grab a lot of different faces and use them either on single objects or within your repeat grid, which I'll show you in a moment, and you can choose all the different sources. So if I wanted to do Unsplash, for example, maybe this one I want a male, maybe a neutral emotion, and I'll keep the rest as is, and I'm simply going to press apply. And it's going to search Unsplash for a male with a neutral emotion, and in a moment it's going to pop it into our image that we have selected, whether it's a square or a rectangle, a circle, whatever it might be. And there it is. And I mean, that guy looks pretty sad. I don't know if it's hard to design for things like this because on one hand, the kids are missing or the people are missing. You don't know if you want to do happy faces, neutral faces. I don't know. There we go. So we'll just leave it at this. We'll leave it as is. So what I'm going to do now, we have the image at the top, and now we might want a name. I originally thought maybe I'll use a name from the chat, but that's kind of depressing. So I'm just going to do John Doe, a very neutral name. Poppins is a good font. Maybe I'll do semi-bold possibly. Where is semi-bold? Where are you, semi-bold? There you are. There we go. I can make this a little bit larger by grabbing the handle right underneath this text, just dragging it up. And maybe right below this, we might want to put his location as well. So this would be San Diego, maybe. San Diego, yep. And maybe I'll just drop this to regular. And I'll just drop the size just a touch. Now we may also want some sort of an icon to indicate that this is the location that this lost actor may be, that this person is missing. So I'm going to go back to my plugins, and there's a few different plugins that you can grab icons from. Icons for Design is a pretty good one, and I'm just going to type in location, and we have these lovely little location icons, and I can just grab, let's say this one right here from Material. It's going to pop it over here. I can grab it, move it over, change the color to white. They're all vector, which is fantastic. Drag it down a little bit. Whoops. Drag it down, move it into place, and there we go. And I might want to, decrease the opacity or play around with blend modes a touch. No, that's not going to pass accessibility. Drop the opacity just a little bit to about 60%. Maybe this one as well. I can press the 6 key on my keyboard. And maybe I'd really want to zoom in here and just refine this so everything lines up quite nicely, right? Just like that. Beautiful. And maybe, you know what? I might want to center this. As you're designing, you're going to go back and forth. Does it want to be left justified, center justified? Who knows, right? All right, so there we go. So we've got this top section, and now we might want another section at the bottom that shows us additional people that might be missing. So to do that, we're going to use a lovely repeat grid. So let's start laying out some information for our first card. So I'm going to grab my ellipse tool, draw one out, holding down my shift key just like that. This will be the first person. Pop it right about there. Let me zoom in. I'm going to type out name. I can't see it. There we go. We've got our name. It's a little bit too large. Make it a little bit smaller. There we go. And then maybe here we'll put last location. Perfect. All right. So we've got that. We've got our circle, which is going to house our people. We've got name. Let's go ahead and change this to semi-bold just so it's consistent with at the top. That looks pretty good. I'll drop this size just a touch, right? And then maybe over here, this will be location. Maybe I'll do last scene, and this will be location. Drop that a touch. And there we go. So we've gone ahead and laid out some of the information that's going to appear on this card. But of course, we need a lot of them because there might be a lot of missing people in this area, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to select all the elements that make up this card. And I just did that with my Shift key held down, and I clicked on all the elements. And you can also go to your layers panel. You can select them there as well. And now we need to create our repeat grid. And you saw me do this on Tuesday, but if you're brand new to XD, all you have to do is press the repeat grid button over to the right. And it's very important to note that when you're creating a repeat grid, in order for it to work properly, you have to verbally say, boop. I pressed the wrong button. Hold on. Hopefully we're back to my screen. Yes, nobody saw that, right? There we go. There's the boop. Very important. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Now, one thing I mentioned on Tuesday when we were doing this is that ooh, Steven. XD feature request. Auto light or dark text based on the background. You never know. That could be a thing at some point in the future. With Adobe Sensei or something like that. Yeah, that was a bad boop. I completely ruined that one, didn't I? Anyways, no one saw that. I can always edit that out. So on Tuesday, I mentioned that when you're dealing with areas that may be text that may be longer in some cases than others, what you want to do, let me undo this, is, so location, for example, I may want to turn this into an area text and just drag this out to the last possible area that it may, the longest possible text that I may have on here. So now that I have that done, I may want to do the same with name. Just drag that out. Perfect. And now I can go back and create my repeat grid. That way we have some breathing room at the side, right? There we go. Now, all you have to do now is just drag this down to add a few additional people. There we go. Perfect. So now we have all these cards. Of course, we need more content. We need people's faces. We need names. We need the location where they've last been seen. So to do that, of course, you could drag in images, you can drag in text files, and if you're brand new to repeat grids, you want to really learn what they do, head over to letsxd.com. I've got some great tutorials there, but we can also utilize plugins. So back to our plugins panel over here to the left, we have the UI Faces plugin one more time. So I do have my repeat grid selected. I'm going to go dive into the repeat grid and select that single circle, go to the UI Faces plugin. Now in this time, instead of using Unsplash, I want to use This Person Does Not Exist. Now if you don't know what that is, this is weird. This is one of those things that makes me question life. It's basically, I think it's developed by NVIDIA, and it's this weird algorithm. Let me hop over to Chrome for a second. And here's the website here. This person does not exist. And they just recently updated their algorithm. This person that you're looking at, as the URL implies, does not exist. These were all created by algorithms. And every time you refresh this page, it's going to generate a new person that does not exist. This individual is not a real person, and it's slowly rendering it out. But yeah. So if you're worried about royalty free and you're worried about copyright, you want to make sure that no one's going to sue you for using their face, use This Person Does Not Exist, because again, these people are not real. It's a bit slow right now. But if I hop back over to Adobe XD, make sure This Person Does Not Exist is checked on and then press apply. The UI Faces plugin is going to go through, grab a bunch of people that again do not exist, and it's going to fill them in. And there we go. These people are not real. It's very weird. We probably live in a simulation. But isn't that crazy? Like, these people look like actual people, but they are not. I mean, they might have some similar features to some actual people, but yeah, very strange. So anyways, we've got our faces now. All these people that don't exist are missing. Maybe that's why they don't exist. I don't know. But we also need some additional information like name and last location seen. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on name. And of course, we could go through and just type in people's name here. But we can also use a plugin. And I think a good plugin to do that is the Repertory Repeater. I don't know how to pronounce this. But this plugin right here, it's this R with the orange background. And I can go ahead and press on that and choose Generate. I do have a repeat grid selected. Generate. There we go. All right. Oh, you can choose the item over here to the left. So I'm going to choose name. And let's go ahead and choose the category. Name, for example. And we'll do first and last name. Gender, we'll do both. And that's just about it. And we'll press apply. And it's basically gone through and added some names, completely random names. These people also don't exist, these names. I mean, they might actually exist somewhere, but, and of course, if you needed to change someone, you can always dive in here, but they're pretty spot on. I can just go ahead and change this to Howard if I wanted to, and it doesn't affect the rest of the repeat grid. We can also do the exact same thing for location. So back in that plugin, I'm gonna go to the location text layer, and we'll go ahead and select, let's say, address possibly. And we'll do maybe city, state, and country, and just press apply. And there we go. And now it's filled in. We've got our names, we've got our people that don't exist, and we also have our city, state, and country as well. There we go. And of course, if we wanted to, we can always make changes to this repeat grid. So if I want to add some additional information, let's say I wanted to add an icon, right? I can go back and dive into my repeat grid. Here we go, I'm in my repeat grid. I'm going to go to the icons plugin, grab the location icon just like I did before. It pops it right about there. And you're noticing as I'm doing that, let me see what's going on here. It's only adding it to 2 of them. That doesn't make any, oh, you know why? Okay, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna simply copy this. And I'm gonna go into my repeat grid, paste it, there we go. I think I pasted it into a weird spot. So I can go ahead and add this, and I can move this stuff around just like that. Beautiful, and it's updating throughout the entire repeat grid, right? So I can make this a little bit smaller. I can drop the opacity a touch, maybe even more. There we go, and everything looks pretty good. And the lovely thing about repeat grids is you don't have to update the styling across all the different cards. You can easily do it once, and it just updates. So if you want to add a border, you can do that, right? And again, it updates on all of them. Oops. Drop the opacity a little bit. There we go. Things are looking good. How's that looking? So hopefully this is giving you a little bit of inspiration. And of course, if you wanted to, get into the whole alert business, that's actually part of the Amber Alert. What you can do is you can utilize a UI kit. So if I hop over here to Finder, and you can also go to the File menu, go down to, where is it? Get UI Kits, and then you can open and download the Apple UI Kit or the Google Material UI Kit, Microsoft Windows, and you can double click and open this up. Here we go, open up over here. And what you're gonna see in a moment is you're going to see the Apple UI Kit for iOS 13. It's a pretty big UI kit, so it might take a second or two to load, but when it does, when it loads, you will see, there we go. You'll see a bunch of different artboards you can use. So if you did want to focus on, let's say, an alert right here, you can copy this, hop back over here and paste it. And then you can completely customize it. So you can dive in here, you can change the name, you can change the alert, whatever it might be that you want. You can dive in, oh yeah, I have this display shape selected. There we go, so this could be Amber Alert. And then over here, we're just going to, John Doe is missing. And then what you can do, you can actually wire this up and prototype it. So in prototype mode, you can have it so that if a user clicks on this alert, it basically opens up this web page. And we can do a tap trigger. We can do a very simple transition. We might want it to, let's say, slide to the left, possibly. Ease in and out. Let's see what that looks like. And there we go. So in just a few minutes, about 20 minutes or so, we've put together a little bit of an Amber Alert app using a bunch of different plugins in Adobe XD to add stock images, to add people's faces with UI faces. These people don't exist, which is kind of creepy. We've added some names, we've added some cities and countries and other things that we've added. And then we've added some elements using Apple's UI kit. And of course, you can do it with Microsoft Windows and Google Material as well. So that will just about do it for me, for at least for this segment. I will be back in about 5 minutes with my first XD masterclass. We're going to be talking about components and states and a lot of good stuff. And if you have questions, definitely be there to ask them. So I'll be back in a few minutes. And thanks again for joining me, everyone. I'm looking forward to checking out your stuff. I'll see you soon.